All right. All right. I think we're good. So I think then I'm going to hand it over to you, Claire, to do a little tutorial on the basics of iNaturalist.
Yeah. So let me share my screen to see what people see. There we go. Can you see the iNaturalist observation platform? Okay. And actually, it's a good segue talking about collaborating or organization, because I think that we are one of the perfect examples of that. So I'm Claire O'Neill, again, for the newcomers, and I am from Earthwise Aware, UWA. And just to situate a little bit, we are focused on biodiversity and how to protect it. And so a part of our outreach is through citizen science. We do heavy citizen science in the area, and we have been doing that for 2 years. And what does it have to do with iNaturalist? Well, iNaturalist is one of our platform, and certainly when it comes to biodiversity occurrences and mappings, that's what we use. So the reason why I say that we're a typical organization that collaborate for the CNC is because last year we've organized, this before event and during event. We have not really participated in the identification because we were super busy with other stuff, but it's also a very important part. We're just, relying on the community to do this identification. So, okay, so let me tell you about iNaturalist and what we've done so far and what you can do with iNaturalist. This is really a fantastic, observation platform, in my opinion. The slide that you're going to see is the slide that we bring with us in the field. So most of our organization or training happens in the field, and we just bring the slides with us because we have iPad and stuff like that. So it's a perfect little tool to show stuff. So that's why you have, in number 3, make observation using iNaturalist, because this is part of the deal when we are in the field. So today we're going to approach about what is really iNaturalist. We're going to briefly talk about the website, meaning the desktop version versus the mobile app, because it really talks to many people as well. And it's an important part or component of iNaturalist. Let me really present this thing. That would be nice, right? There we are, full screen. Do you see it? Here we are. It's coming. All right, so let me go. So what is iNaturalist? So primarily, really, it's an online social network. This is what it is, meaning that it gathers together. It's really a tool for naturalists, but also for nature enthusiasts or people who want to learn about nature, to share about their sightings. Really, the sightings here, when we talk about sightings, we talk about pictures. That's what it means. So this is a social network, and I forgot how many hundreds of thousands of people it has, but to date, or this year, I think that they passed the mark, by the way, of 30 million observations on this platform. And they have been up since a good decade now. So it's incredible what they have been able to reach there. So this is a fantastic tool to learn about nature, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that, because this is really showing and leveraging some cool technology in artificial intelligence. What it is as well is that it is a crowdsourced species identification system. So what it means there is that when you are in the field and you take your picture with your phone or with your camera that you upload later to iNaturalist, it means is that you don't necessarily need to know the species that you are looking at, right? You can rely both on the system, iNaturalist itself, which has a pattern recognition of pictures, and is able to really find or suggest some identification that are later backed up or refuted by the huge, platform, I would say, or network of naturalists that are going to say, yeah, this is this kind of ID, or we suggest that this is this species, or no, this is not this species, this is another one. So this is why it's crowdsourced, and people come, from all over the world. I've had my own observation being refuted actually by naturalists that are in Hong Kong that know a lot about our butterflies or our different mammals or vertebrates and things like that. Really fantastic. But what it is really, and we use that in our citizen science project, is it is really an organism occurrence recording tool, meaning it's a database. And what is really cool about this database is that it is a global database, right? So it's not in a spreadsheet, which is on your desktop somewhere and stays in this drawer or this kind of virtual drawer. This is something that ultimately is going to be shared with the entire region, local scientists, and globally, internationally. right? So the primary goal really of iNaturalist, and that's something that is very important, is really to connect the people with nature. So they're providing here a fantastic tool where you can, upload your visual sightings, your pictures of what you're seeing. You can learn from that, and you can really enter in a community of people who wants to help you and who are genuinely enthusiastic about what they are seeing around them. So this is really their primary goal, to connect people to nature, and they have done so. The secondary goal is also to generate here scientifically valuable biodiversity data from what you are seeing. I'm going to add two things that actually it has ultimately two things which are really cool about it. First, it's really about biodiversity, not necessarily monitoring, because it's about occurrence. It's about what you see. It's not necessarily about what you don't see, right? So, but this is important because it really helps the local scientists and management to know what's there. There is not enough resources to really record everything that is around us. There is not enough people on the ground, and there you're leveraging the power of the people, right, to do that. Another thing, and it's because I'm coming from the data world, which is really cool about that, is by your picture, even if it doesn't necessarily serve this biodiversity mapping, what it helps really is the tool itself. What you have behind this kind of technology is machine learning. So from the picture, from the data set that you're really bringing out there, by uploading all your picture, you are allowing this tool, this AI, to become better at identifying species. So really a very cool tool there. So here you see, by the way, at the bottom, you see the little screen that you would have when you use it in the field with your phone, right? And here are a bunch of people really genuinely interested in what's happening in this bush. Okay. All right, so this is another view of what I've been mentioning, right, in the past minute or so. So it really allows you to keep track actually of what you're seeing, but also to help scientists and managers around to keep track of what's happening, right, in our immediate environment and in urban setting as well. Crowdsourced identification, I just mentioned that, which is you don't need necessarily to know everything about what you are seeing. You can rely both on the tool itself and the mechanism to identify or suggest identification, which are later confirmed or refuted by the crowd, right? So it's crowdsourcing. You can learn tremendously about nature. So if you come, in the field with us or with any organization who does in-field training, we're going to show you that, with your tool, when you're taking a picture with your phone, then there is a little button, a little feature there where you click that says, okay, we're going to give you a suggestion. It is incredible how do you say that, I sped up myself, my learning of what is around me. You cannot know everything about all the species of all the taxa. There is something like 12 taxa in iNaturalist, but it's amazing. Repetition is key there as well. You really learn very quickly, and at least if the suggestion of the species is not correct, it's a suggestion, it puts you usually very well in the right taxonomy. We talked about creating useful data. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second, which is you help, again, your local managers and scientists to know what's there, right? And so the thing that is really cool is that it is a very soft introduction for the public to what is citizen science, right? It's kind of an easy thing. You start, it's very inclusive because it allows any level of people to come with any of their skill, and you can learn along the way and become a better citizen scientist in a sense. So it's a very good tool for introducing the general public to citizen science. What is citizen science or community science? And the way to really enact all that as one form is to run a BioBlitz. And a BioBlitz, for people who do not necessarily know what it is, this is really a kind of intent survey on a specific geographical area, and for a specific time, right? So the CNC is exactly that, right? And this is an international one. All right. Another view of how it works here, which is you have your phone or your camera, you take pictures, and then you upload that either directly from your phone on the app, or you do that a little bit later through their desktop version, which is pretty cool as well. And you let the fellow naturalists or the crowd really to discuss and look at this species that you just uploaded. And there at the end, ultimately, you might have a species identification. And it's also a great tool for discussing the findings within the platform itself, but within your communities as well. So here, iNaturalist itself is already a global tool. Meaning it's a global platform, it's open, worldwide. But what is really good about it is also connect to other global organization and global platform. So about EOL, I'm not too sure anymore because I haven't followed, in the past year, how the data flows from iNaturalist to EOL. I think, and Colleen and I think that it still flows in terms of the visuals into EOL. I'm more familiar myself with the Global Biodiversity Information Facility. So this is another large global enterprise, right? An enterprise in terms of a scientific enterprise, where they really are after mapping the world biodiversity. There is a lot of cool news and association between Google, iNaturalist, and GBIF. But what is really good about that is it's extensively used by research. So your data, once it reaches a certain grade, and you're going to see that in one of the next slide, is going to migrate to the GBIF, which is definitely looked by a large number of scientific organizations around the world. So global science, open science, very important thing. So we have a couple of observations that we're going to track there. So this is one of mine. This is my nickname. Has been my 30 years old nickname here, actually. So this is one of the leafhopper that we have in the area. It's actually an interesting one because it got a research grade, although a lot of people would say that leafhopper at species level identification are kind of tough. But this one got really an approval of the community. So you see that another thing here, I took two pictures, not necessarily the best one, but it brings the topic of taking observation set when you can, because often a species, when you have only one angle, it's not necessarily enough. It might not be enough to really go to the species level. So for a leafhopper, usually when I'm in the field, I also try to get the side, right? The side, because you can see the underneath a little bit of the leafhopper. Well, in this case, I couldn't, but anyway. And here you see exactly where it is located. So iNaturalist is a mapping platform. It's really a mapping platform. So how does it work? So here you see that I did upload, and actually I made an identification right away because I'm getting familiar with this kind of leafhopper. And there it got fairly quickly, it got two other identifications by the community. So what it did here is that it reached, with my identification, it reached a cumulative identification, two similar identification to species. Two were good enough in this case to bring a research grade. Additionally, we got a third one. Colleen was talking about Maverick, as in this case, let's say that I had something like the red-banded leafhopper, which is another one, then I might have been a Maverick. We're showing with a little, what's the name? Strike.
Lightning bolt.
Thank you, this one. I'm French, sorry, so I don't have all the words sometimes. So I would have shown as a Maverick because there were two against me. But anyway, here, the thing is, it's uncontested so far, right? And so this means that it reached a research grade. When you have a research grade in iNaturalist, this means that somehow this data is going to open up and being pulled in other platforms such as the GBIF, right? So it doesn't stay there, it's also shared, meaning it had enough credibility that this is shared with other large organizations, open science. All right. So here, how to iNat? Simple. You upload the app, right? So you're going to have a profile. This is about who you are. And then you make sure that you have your GPS location on your camera or on your phone so that somehow you can get to have the GPS location recorded. It's about mapping. Remember, iNaturalist is about mapping. Of course, you're going to either choose or not. It's okay if you don't choose an organism about what you've seen, because you can rely on the community, right, to help you with the identification of the species. What is important, of course, is to know when you saw it. So that's going to be the time on the metadata of your pictures, right? And if you do have a picture good, it's better because you will never reach a research grade without a visual or a sound. This is the two type of evidence that they require. If you don't have any picture and you use that just to say, I saw that, it's fine, but it's going to be called a casual sighting, right? So that's the evidence. Very simple to use. Now, you can use it at many different levels. For us in our organization, we also ask our citizen scientists to fill a bunch of other annotation because we follow some kind of protocol. The point being that you can use it in an opportunistic manner, which is a vast majority of the citing on iNaturalist, or as an organization like ours, you want to have something that is either semi-structured or structured citizen science to raise the quality of the data, then we ask our citizen scientists to record some other type of information. And the cool thing is that iNaturalist give you the platform for doing that as well. So usually it's when we are in the field and we arrive at this little slide and we say, we try it really live, right? So what is important is to have really one species, or when you take a picture, try to focus on a single species. Although it's interesting to also have, when you have interaction within species, to also have a picture that you can add to your set, because a little side notes, you know, a lot of the data that is lacking is about interaction within species. So for us, for instance, the way we use it is we have a focal picture on the species, and then we had another picture in the set about what it interacted with, so that we also have the visual record of the species interaction. So that's going a little bit further, but it's cool. The reason of the first bullet here is wild organism. So if you take a picture of your plant in your living room, it's totally fine, right? But it's clearly, how do you say that, a captive or cultivated type of a species. So in which case, it's fine to record that. I do that as well, because sometimes I want to follow the phenology or the seasonal event on that plant, right? So somehow it becomes my little pet project where I can really check the different phases of the season on a specific plant. But the thing to note is that a captive or a cultivated species, such as the tree that has been planted or your flowers in your garden, they will never reach a research grade. They're going to always stay casual. That's another kind of casual sightings there. For good or for bad reason, that's a protocol that they have. Always try to have a photo that is clear and in focus, of course, in order to really improve the quality of the identification. Although you would be surprised how iNaturalist is becoming good at identifying even a blurry picture. I mean, I've been very surprised, because sometimes it's hard. You have a species that hops around and you try your, following with your little phone or your camera, and you cannot get a straight shot, and still you record it because, you have the species. And iNaturalist has been really improving a lot these past few years. If you know it, name it. That's about the identification. And as I said a little bit earlier, if you don't know, well, that's okay. Try to get it, to what you know in terms of the taxonomy, right? Family, genus, species, or let the community do that. One little tip, I usually avoid to leave it at unknown, because when you have an unknown observation, usually it's not really looked by the community. So sometimes I even go as far as naming a wrong species, knowing that someone is going to be super happy to correct me. And there, what I did with this wrong species, is I got someone to tell me what it is for sure, right? So that's my little trick there. People are super, happy to correct your knowledge, and I'm completely cool with it. There are a bunch of tutorials here that you can follow. iNaturalist itself has a little video about how to take better picture. Us at IWA, because we do a lot of observation for research and for citizen science, so we have an essential about how to photograph, different species or different taxa. And that's it for this slide. All right. This is actually one of the they're very good at visualization, iNaturalist, and I think that's what I wanted to reach out there. So here, this is our project. We have an umbrella project, a big project that has all our little project, and this gather all the information about all our project. And as a few months ago, we had collected something like almost 25,000 observations, our teams, because we control our team, because we want to control the quality of our data as much as possible. So iNaturalist is really cool to report, and that's something that I don't highlight enough, but they are very cool to report in terms of visualization, of the data itself. And that is important because this is what becomes your tool to communicate with the communities, or as a community to communicate with your representative, with your government about what is there or what is not there, or potential problems. And we'll talk about that in a second. So I love iNaturalist for many different reasons. As I said, it's one of our platform. And when we say here, prepare to be surprised, is because, of course, we see very cool things. Here, this is Dan. This is one of our citizen scientists. And actually, another of our citizen scientists saw this XXM species. This is a hen tiger beetle, which is actually endangered in the field. And the reason why I show you that is because they have been concerned by people or citizen scientists to say, oh, Claire, I don't want to geotag my picture because I'm afraid, right, that there's going to be too many people in this area, and in some other part of the world, we might even have poaching, like rhinos or things like that. So if you look at the map on the right, then you can see that actually you don't see exactly where this thing is, right? You have a square. And this is something that iNaturalist does by default, which is as soon as you hit an endangered species, meaning that the species that you are looking at is endangered on the IUCN red list, then it's going to obscure the geolocation of that species, right? So you can have the guarantee that an endangered species is not going to show its exact location. You're going to see it, but the public is not going to see it. And it doesn't prevent the scientists to see it because there's a communication flow, right? So we have had scientists asking us, oh, you've seen that, can you tell us where? And then we vetted them, and then we gave them their geolocation. So I just wanted to mention that because I think it's an important one from an ethical standpoint. Another kind of surprise, so this one is not mine, Colleen could talk about that, but here there's a little red squirrel climbing on someone's leg. And actually I had something like that similar with a wasp that was on me, and I took the record. I let her being on my shirt for 10 minutes, right? So I had plenty of very cool shot of this wasp. And so that's another kind of surprise, kind of cool surprise. All right. I talked about advocacy, information, driven, evidence-based type of advocacy or communication of the communities. So here is one. One of the things that we are doing, and actually the DCR is also very interested in that, if you are in some of their park, because we operate within the fells as well, is to know about the invasive species, right? So this is a few of our citizen scientists, and they are recording, as when they can, when they see them, they record the invasive species so that later on they can be shown on a map and communicated to other organizations such as a DCR or friends organizations such as the Friends of the Fell, for example. And then people can get there and remove these invasive species. And invasive species, I don't know if people know that, but this is one of the big factors of biodiversity loss worldwide, right? So, and it's getting a higher profile, I would say, as of recently, for good reason. So, and invasive species are not just plants, right? So here, for example, you have this kind of longhorn beetle, which is a tough one in the area. So this is a very cool tool then, become really a kind of a platform to be able to monitor, record, communicate with other organizations, and take action in order to protect biodiversity, right? So this is my last slide here. About iNat. We really encourage people to do field training, to also join ours. We should be a community working together and sharing with each other. Usually what I say to people, because people are a little bit afraid of doing science, right, is it hard? No, we are not tracking orangutan in Sumatra or this kind of stuff, right? We are doing urban wildlife type of citizen science here with iNaturalist. And this is a fantastic, really, means of learning. It's extremely important in order to communicate with organizations, right, to engage our audience. What I haven't mentioned there as well is it's really a very important tool in terms of democratizing science around. And I think that there is a big need of that in our area, in America in general, to really put science back in the hands of the people. And iNaturalist is one of such tools, right? So I hope that with that, I really encourage you and give you a little bit of energy for doing it. Join us, please. We need you because all that can only happen if we are together doing it. That's it. that's my little talk. I think that I don't have much. There is an, yeah, cute little hippo here. I forgot about it. I'm